Internal authority versus external authority. Everyone has the power within themselves to find happiness by fulfilling their own individual needs and desires. Think about that for a moment. Really sit with it. We are each competent, truly competent enough, to fill our own needs. Not perfectly every time, not without effort or learning, but at our core, we carry the capacity. There's a spark inside each of us, a divine spark that can guide us if we will only listen. This spark has been called many things across traditions: the Christ Spirit, the God of our hearts, the Master within, our conscience, the still small voice. It has also been known as the higher self and the holy guardian angel. Whatever name we give it, it is real. It is internal authority, not external authority. The true path of mysticism is not about submission to some external force. It is about following our own inner authority above all others. This inner authority already knows and understands our true will and reason for living in this lifetime. It knows why we are here, what we are meant to become, what fulfills us at the deepest level. By being free to act according to our own true nature, we will do what is best for ourselves. And here is the self-evident truth that changes everything. By doing what is best for ourselves, we will at the same time benefit the rest of humanity. In becoming who we are truly meant to be, the entire world benefits. There is no conflict here. There is no sacrifice required. When one person lives authentically from their inner spark, the ripple reaches out to family, friends, loved ones, their community, and reaches everyone and includes all life. There is no need, no real need, to conform to the demands of any external authority. Those in power will always act in their own best interest and not in mine or yours. Never expect them to. We must be free to act according to our own nature. Turning to an external authority, whether government, religion, guru, law, family expectations, societal norms, or even well-meaning experts, to solve our problems and fulfill our needs will never work in the long run. It cannot. Most systems are built on averages, on the lowest common denominator, being in service to others that demand sacrifice, rather than service to self that brings personal empowerment and liberation. This is especially true for laws and government authorities that try to control people through legal legislation. This includes the use of force against individuals. The use of force is never justified except in self-defense or the defense of loved ones. We can't allow ourselves to be forced or intimidated by any external authority. We must remain true to our own inner self at all costs. We must not give our power away to others. It is time to take a stand and recognize that we must not continue to accept blindly and follow blindly. This is what it means to be an organic Gnostic. We must each make a personal choice to follow our own inner authority above all others. Who knows why one person gives up and dies while another struggles on through overwhelming odds and comes out on top? We all want to survive. But are we willing to do what needs to be done? Are we willing to become organic Gnostics? That question is personal. It is urgent. It sits right in the center of your chest as you listen to this. External authorities would become powerless if the average person simply said no to them. Think about that. We give external authority the power that it holds over us. We lend external authority our eyes to spy upon others and report them, and they in turn spy upon us. We pay other people hard-earned money to enforce the will of external authority upon ourselves and those we love. The only power that external authority has is the power that we give it as individuals. That is it. No more, no less. Even when the commands of external authority become incompatible with our own values and morals, very few people have the self-esteem or ego strength to resist. Why is that? Why do so many stay silent, comply, look away? External authority is a fictional creation that has no basis in physical reality. It exists only because enough minds agree to pretend it does. Because it belongs to the lowest common denominator of human life, and it always degenerates into a destructive force. The majority of people accept it blindly, follow it out of fear, and obey without critical thought. It is a creation of the mind enforced by the mind. Why are we so eager to give our own personal power away? We repeat this cycle because it feels safer in the short term. External authority promises protection, order, certainty, but the promise is hollow. It requires us to shrink, to conform, to silence the still small voice. And when we do that, we lose touch with the very spark that could guide us to real fulfillment. The concept is simple and profound. If we each do that which is truly right for us, we not only benefit, but our loved ones benefit, our community benefits, our nation benefits, and the entire world benefits. We do this by following the still small voice of our conscience, the Christ spark within our hearts. These things seem so simple and true. But what happened? Why is this not being done? How are these simple truths so distorted? How are we pulled into sacrificing our lives and personal power to things not in our best interests? One answer lies in fragmentation, and in how fragmentation makes us vulnerable to external authority in the first place. When our awareness is scattered, when we are not anchored in a unified sense of self, it becomes far easier for outside forces to intimidate us, to override our inner spark, to make us doubt our own competence and guidance. The ability of awareness to shift between chakra or energy centers, across valid traditions, has demonstrated and proven beyond all doubt that what we call consciousness or awareness definitely makes use of filters. Once we realize this, it becomes obvious from personal experience. When an experience in reality shifts our point of awareness or consciousness to the solar plexus center, for example, we experience a flood of emotional awareness because the solar plexus is a center of lower emotional energies. Everything feels intense, reactive, urgent. It feels very different from when awareness or consciousness is focused in the throat center, the heart center, or the crown. But we miss the obvious. How many times are we unable to focus or concentrate on something because we are emotionally angry or disturbed? We are distracted. But what is really happening is that our awareness or focus of consciousness is caught up in those emotions. It is extremely difficult to shift to a more calm and intellectual stance or position. This shifting of awareness or consciousness happens naturally, and it happens all the time. Most people are even more fragmented than being able to shift their center focus point of awareness. Many people are trapped helplessly within their own lack of integration. We have personality fragments or valances that we shift between in our daily life. How many of you become like small children when you interact with your parents? How many become a totally different person when you are interacting with your own children, your friends, your lover, or your boss? It is as if we change masks depending on the situation we find ourselves in. Wouldn't it be better if we were able to simply be ourselves? Be a healthy and balanced individual? So we are constantly shifting our awareness from one filter to another. We are fragmented, and it is the task of the ego to hold our sense of self together. More importantly, it is our human ego that serves as the boundary between the physical and astral realms. The development of the soul is the gathering of these many pieces together and uniting them into one self. One soul under the guidance of one sense of self. One ego. This is what mental and emotional health is all about. This is what the shamanic soul retrieval is all about, gathering the scattered pieces of our soul back together again. This is what the ancient mystery traditions have been about. Only through this integrated ego can we fully hear and follow our inner authority, the still small voice of the divine spark, without fragmentation allowing external authorities to override or silence it. So we have very real evidence and proof of soul fragments, or masks that we wear in our interactions in the world. We also have strong evidence of the multidimensional nature of awareness or consciousness and the soul. Our awareness shifts in and out of one energy and into another as we try to cope with a multidimensional reality. Intuitively, we understand that it is better to have an integrated sense of self or soul than a fragmented one. The more integrated we are, the more balanced we are. And this integration centers around developing a strong and healthy sense of self or ego. It helps to feel good about who we are and what we are able to do. These things seem almost self-evident, yet the twisted world of the materialist denies any multidimensionality. It denies the importance of integrating these fragments and instead advocates selflessness. They demand unrighteously. The ego and sense of self is bad. Our material and technological society inadvertently denies the soul, and we need to do something about it. Imagine the damage to the multidimensional soul when a person only identifies with the physical body. What happens to that multidimensional soul when the physical body dies and decays? How can the sense of self hold together? The answer is that it can't. Without integration, without a strong ego anchoring the fragments, the self dissolves into chaos. And here is where the connection to authority becomes painfully clear. A fragmented self is far more easily controlled by external forces. When awareness is trapped in destructive behaviors, emotional reactivity, fear, anger, or shame, we are less able to hear the still, small voice of the inner spark. We become reactive instead of responsive. We seek safety in external structures rather than trusting our own competence. External authority thrives on that fragmentation. It feeds on our doubt, our divided attention, our masks. A unified, integrated self, anchored by a strong ego and guided by the higher self, is much harder to intimidate or override. The simplest way to develop self-esteem is helping and allowing people to develop competence in life. Success breeds success. Competence builds competence. Becoming competent at different things helps to build a stable sense of self. A stable sense of self allows us to listen to the inner spark without fear. Why does our society focus on dependence instead? Why is external authority more important than internal authority? Especially when we know better. The distortion comes from fear. Fear of our own power, fear of responsibility, fear of standing alone with our conscience. But the path is clear: reclaim internal authority, reintegrate the fragmented soul, build competence and self-esteem from within. Only then can we truly follow the still small voice, and only then does the world begin to heal, one authentic life at a time. This is the invitation. Listen. Choose. Reintegrate. Become who you are meant to be. Forge through your own path with your individual light leading the way.